Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are very excited to be showcasing two tech products from India today. We are joined by Pallavi Parikh, founder at Conduct, and Bhavan Shah and Namita Shah, co-founders of Resolve 360. Pallavi will be demonstrating Conduct, a product by Ungender, a sexual harassment and misconduct management system, and Bhavan and Namita will be demonstrating Resolve 360, an online dispute resolution platform for small to mid-value disputes. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you all here. And now over to Pallavi to start her presentation.
Thank you so much, Christine, and a wonderful good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everybody who is here. I'm Pallavi Parikh. I'm representing Conduct, Misconduct Management and Reporting System. And how we arrived at this place is after spending time in discussions with more than 500 workplaces and 1,000 cases, more than 1,000 cases on workplace misconducts ranging from gender-based discrimination to workplace sexual harassment, and having conversations and advisory engagement with more than 10,000 boardroom leaders and spending close to 100,000 hours on trainings on these similar topics. Our team, which constitutes of lawyers, technologists, gender advocacy individuals, DEI professionals, and human behavior experts, we all arrived at one question: that how do we actually build safe and inclusive workplaces, not just for one gender, but eventually for every diversity that inevitably is going to exist in workplaces. The problem that we were looking at the core of it is what we call and commonly know as workplace sexual harassment. And it is a commonly known information as well that sexual harassment is bad for business. There are no two ways around it. There are enough numbers and reports and studies across the world which have showcased the kind of cost that a business as well as the economy has to bear when we are not really looking at addressing this problem. Now, this is not just something that we are building for India at present. We are definitely starting from India. Our base is the legal framework. But across the world, there are several countries which are now creating proactive laws when it comes to addressing and reporting and prohibiting workplace sexual misconduct in workplaces. What is needed, as we realized after spending an in-depth time on studying this problem, are four crucial things as we see more both from the individual's perspective as well as from the workplaces. We definitely need data and safety for companies to be able to understand and appreciate why they should be investing in addressing this problem. They have to be legally compliant. They have to adhere to the laws of the land that are coming up. The countries which do not have such laws are actually taking best practices from other countries. Cost and time that goes in preventing and addressing this particular issue is also one of the reasons why boardrooms are not really paying much attention to it. The lack of standardization doesn't really help when it comes to understanding the problem or even sitting down and giving this responsibility to any process owner in the workplace to address a systematic approach to preventing this issue. So for us, how we solved it is by combining all our learnings, all our in-depth understanding of the same, and build a technology tool that companies and its leaders can use with respect to educating their people, making sure that they are learning the right behavior when it comes to workplace dynamics. They have a safe space where individuals do not have to look for platforms, anonymous platforms outside the workplace or wait to leave a certain company or organization before they actually address or raise this issue, be it on social media or in the legal forums. And lastly, we wanted to provide data for the organizations for them to be able to find business case in investing in preventing this problem. The challenge for us was the main one that how do we actually push towards a behavior shift and a mindset shift that individuals, all of us who are a product of a more than 2, 3, 4 decades of conditioning, both consciously as well as subconsciously in our society, and it is actually governing the way we interact with each other as a gender. So we knew that because we have not become this way overnight, the same way becoming inclusive, becoming respectable, recognizing the different dynamics that happens and occurs between different genders is also not going to be a single day thing. So we are using nudge-based and precision-based methodology, which ensures that there is individual and customized learning through weekly capsules. So these are not just one-time sessions that we are sending or conducting with employees of an organization. We are making sure that what we complement with induction session is weekly capsule of inclusive behavior that will arrive at an employee's inbox, and also will get pushed to their day-to-day activities as they consume the content through this platform. The topics range from in the entire honeycomb of subjects, as you see on the screen, starting from making sure that people understand the basics of conduct at work, to going as deep as emojis, equity, humor at work, and even micro affirmations and micro aggressions. The intent here is to keep making sure that we identify different elements of human mindset that individuals are getting influenced by when they interact with other members within the workplace, and identify those aspects, make an individual realize what is something that needs realignment in their mindset and behavior, and then correct that particular behavior pattern. With the same time, we know that we are talking to people about subjects that nobody has ever spoken to them about. And that's why there will be lots of questions in people's mind. They would need clarification. And that's why we created on the platform Cubicle. It's a safe space for people to come and have anonymous discussions, and also seek anonymous assistance on any of the queries that are troubling them. If ever any of their query is not guided properly in the anonymous space, then there's also a guided complaint filing process, which then goes into a full-fledged complaint redressal system, which is legally compliant, guided, and makes sure that any internal committee, redressal committee of an organization, is able to execute their misconduct redressal in the most compliant manner as governed by the laws of that specific land. We have been focusing a lot on data, and just wanted to show you that the kind of data that is generated is something which has been largely missing out. There's a diversity heat map which tells any organization's leader, be it boardroom leader or DEI leader or HR leader, who exactly their employees are, who exactly their team members are, not just between the gender binary, but we have gone beyond the gender binary, and we are incorporating various diversities that exist and need to be looked into by any organization as they are creating their hiring patterns, as they are studying their attrition pipelines, and so on and so forth. With diversity heat map, we're also complementing it with the culture districts. Culture districts are simply how your employees are behaving in different teams, based on their gender, based on the function, based on the hierarchy of leadership that they exist in, the kind of work experience that they are bringing into that particular team, and so on and so forth. The intent here is to combine diversity heat map, diversity profile of a specific segment, talk about the culture traits of that specific function or hierarchy, and allow an organization to make more thoughtful and more structured decisions on future intervention. So if I tell an individual organization that what percentage of the people in your organizations feel comfortable sharing their ideas during collaboration, or do not feel comfortable sharing their ideas during collaboration, with this 30%, I also want to be able to tell the organization what is the composition of the diversity for these 30%. Are they in the leadership? Do they belong to a specific gender? Do they belong to a different race, culture, or religion? And so on and so forth. These are the insights which are largely missing in the workplace at present. After having launched with more than 12,000 employees so far, we have also identified that technology needs to integrate. So we are integrating. We have built our SSO integrations. We are already integrating with HRMS. We already have 2 different sets of languages which are currently being used by our target audience. Our content has already been vetted for global consumption and is currently being used by members in Canada, Latin America, US, Europe, and India. The feedback that we are getting from our clients, which range from a team size of 9 to team size of 10,000, is what we also wanted to measure as an organization. And the data points that we are looking at as we measure the success and efficiency of this platform is it has been able to save 50% of the cost that companies were earlier spending, also saving them 75% of the time that they were earlier spending. They are most confident that they are actually 100% compliant, and they do not need to rely on the subjectivity of any of the ambiguity in the legal text. We're also investing a lot in security certificates and data and privacy issues, making sure that at least 99% companies and their leaders should be assured that their data is safe and secure, and 100% delivering data pointers to the board leaders. So far, we have worked with more than 100 leaders and 12,000 employees who are using the platform right now, and we can definitely ensure that every company who is coming on board is in good hands. So if I may, Christine, I would like to show how the platform works. So what a company gets is actually 3 different kinds of user access, which starts with the company's admin account. The admin account allows a company's decision makers, especially the process owners, HR, legal heads, L&D heads, to be able to have control over the user access on the platform. It allows them to add and deactivate employees. It also allows them to see the data points that I was showing you a while ago. Let me show you what it does for an employee. For an employee, these are the elements which are available for them at any given point in time. They can raise a complaint through the raise complaint format. It's a guided atmosphere where it makes sure that any aggrieved person, if they want to raise a complaint, they should be able to be guided by the system. At any point in time, if they want to go back and they have certain queries, they can always go into the anonymous vertical. The cubicle is what we call it. They can have access to more than 200 frequently asked questions related to workplace misconduct, and they are readily available with answers. If these answers are not sufficient, they can always raise a query anonymously in the cubicle, and assistance will be provided to them either by within the company or by trained professionals at our end. With this, employees also have access to the learning modules, which are easily available for them. At the same time, there are also weekly capsules of inclusion dim sums that are getting delivered to the employees' inbox. We are also building Slack and MS Teams integration to be able to communicate better with the organization's team members. The third profile which is there on the platform is for the redressal entities, the internal committee or internal grievance authorities which are appointed within the organization. What we have created for them is a dashboard of complaints. Whenever a complaint comes, everything is nudge-based, intimation-based, and no information is getting out of the system. Whenever a complaint comes in, the respective members will receive an intimation. They will come to the platform, they can view the complaint. And this is the guided environment in which the system guides them, nudges them, prompts them, makes sure that templates, more than 40 templates are available for them to actually standardize the entire grievance redressal process. The system also has an inbuilt calendar, making sure that no redressal timeline is getting missed. The system also makes sure that processes can be assigned to different members. And last and not the least, the system also makes sure that as and when any case file is complete, the system also acts as a system of records, a safe space and a safe and secured environment for companies to store and maintain the records of any regressals that they have addressed in the past. These are the aspects that I wanted to showcase to all of you, which are part of conduct. Lastly, if any organization want to change or modify or add any number of FAQs respective to their organization's element, they can easily modify those FAQs from these sections, and they will be readily available for the members of their respective organization. The system is also making sure that no employee is actually ever deleted from the platform, because we want the companies to be assured that when they are putting their data on the system at conduct, even after 5 years, if they need to access a specific case file, they should not be hustling and they should not be rambling around to locate those case files or locate those documents. So that's something that we are ensuring and also making sure that is available on the system all the time for companies' leaders. Quickly wanted to showcase how the learning module environment works. As I was sharing with all of you, this is something where we have incorporated nudge-based and precision-based learning, where we want to make sure that employees are not just sitting and watching a video and not really paying attention to the conversation that we want to have. Based on that specific methodology, the system makes sure that it's a conversational approach. Every conversation is between the duration of 5 to 8 minutes, ensuring that any individual amongst you or in the organization, those 5 to 8 minutes are something that we are spending in a very dedicated and in a very specific conversation that a person can take away with them. Just in case any one of you is wondering how we are curating the culture districts for an organization, this entire chatbot-based conversation is also designed in a manner that it asks people the questions that we need to curate for the organization to understand their people's behavior and mindset better. So when the system asks, do you think that we say what we say and how we say it has an impact on people around us? And it guides the person forward on different Q&A and giving them different options. It's also making sure that it collects key elements of information, and that's what is getting generated in an aggregated data analytics for a company. So we make sure that we are consistent with the communication. Repeatedly, we have to keep telling people what we want to tell them. Then we are actually telling them by having this conversation. And then through this Q&A, we are also vetting and checking repeatedly whether a person has actually understood the concept that we are looking at explaining to them. What you see here is something very simple. We just want people to acknowledge and realize that how our language is so gendered when we look at the words like chairman, manpower, and mankind. And we want them to think whether they're able to see the common term here or they're not really able to see. So when somebody says that not really, these are common words, now there's a correctional approach. So everything is customized based on the response that a specific employee is giving, and the conversation that goes into the direction of actually explaining the concept to an individual. So this is how a 5 to 8 minute one-time conversation will go. We don't want to preach to people too much at one single given point in time. Anyway, a person does not absorb more than 20 to 25% of information which is given to them, even at one sitting. And that's why we have broken them down in micro capsules. This was a glimpse of one of the conversations around inclusive language. And thank you everyone for meeting Conduct today. Really happy and really glad that we were able to showcase this to you.
Thanks, Pallavi. That was a very informative demonstration. Did you have anything further to add?
No, Christine, I think I'm good.
Wonderful. Bhavin and Namita, would you like to start setting up your presentation now so we can kick off shortly?
Thanks, Christine. Good morning, afternoon, evening, folks. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and we're excited to spend the next few minutes talking about our vision for new age dispute management. In the next few minutes, Namita and I will take you through the journey of dispute management through the lens of Resolve 360. The pandemic has proven to us that our offices are nothing but a 14-inch screen in front of us. But still, when we think of dispute resolution, of let's say arbitration, of mediation, we think of conferences, hearings, briefs, procedures, complexities. We hope that at the end of our time together here today, when you think of arbitrations and mediations, you think of the same 14-inch screen in the front and a nice comfy couch at the back. The statistics you see on the screen are the official numbers representing the judicial machinery in India. Let me translate this in the form of an example. Let's say you were to recover $10,000 from your customer today. You may get a resolution in 2035. That too if you're lucky. And after spending an additional $3,000. All in all, it translates into no real solution. The costs of these impending disputes stands at almost 0.8% of India's GDP. It's about time this changes, and here's how. Today, the definition of money itself has changed, of business has changed, of transactions has changed. Fintech has shifted bank branches to our phones. EdTech has shifted universities to our phones. MedTech has brought hospitals to our fingertips. And that's what we are doing with Resolve 360, shifting access to justice from courts and complexities to fingertips. Humans are the most unpredictable species, but technology has advanced to a level where human action is not only becoming predictable, where next steps are being preempted, and where solutions are being developed even before the problem escalates. And that's what we are doing in the dispute ecosystem. We are developing capabilities not only to deal with large volumes of disputes, but also to provide solutions before a dispute arises. And how better decision making could possibly translate not only in higher resolution, but also in reducing the number of disputes arising itself.
Resolve 360 is much more than an ODR tool. It's a solution that, at the outset, firstly creates a level playing field between transacting parties. It then preempts the possibilities of a dispute arising and suggests the optimal way forward should it arise. All of this is backed by data. In cases where disputes do escalate, the ODR processes such as electronic arbitration, electronic mediation, automated dispute resolution work their way to ensure seamless resolutions with minimal human intervention. Insights such as demographics more prone to defaults, etc., directly translate into better governance and better decision making for our users. Now, let me take you through our dispute portfolio. We administer small to mid-value disputes and now are foraying even into micro-value disputes, where the claim amounts range from just a few dollars and up to hundreds and thousands of dollars. We have found a great fit in the banking, financial services, fintech, and e-commerce sector. Ours is a B2B model where we approach such businesses who turn thousands of disputes. These disputes are mainly in the category of credit card defaults, secured and unsecured loans, asset-based financing, consumer disputes, and other commercial disputes. We are currently working with some of the finest organizations in India. It may interest you to know that our platform is ready to be deployed in many jurisdictions across the world. More about collaborative opportunities towards the end of our presentation. Let's talk of the impact of Resolve 360. Let me take an example of, let's say, 10,000 arbitrations that are administered on Resolve 360's platform by ABC Bank. On an average, it would take 27 days for conclusion of these disputes, and cases where settlements are arrived at, it usually takes about just a mere 3 hours for these kind of disputes to conclude end to end. When it comes to cost, we have significantly brought down the cost of resolution from 31% to under 1% of the claim amount. Talking of participation and settlement, this number was under 1%. And now, because of integration of bespoke technologies that we've developed, we have seen participation and settlements to the tune of up to 40% of the cases being registered. Out of the 10,000 cases, this translates into about 4,000 of them seeing participation by the respondent, and about 3,000 of them would get settled just at the outset. What we will do now, and this is something that we are really excited about, that we will take you through some ODR trends and learnings that we've observed in a random sample of 500 real-life cases. So just give me a second to pull that out. So here's something that we've put together in terms of what we've learned on 500 cases that we did on our platform. The average claim amount for these cases was somewhere around $9,300. We saw that the resolution time was 27 days versus about 174 days that it would have taken traditionally for these disputes to be resolved. The highest claim amount that we dealt with on the platform in these 500 cases was around $50,000. Now, the other aspects of what Resolve 360 does, we've covered quite in depth earlier, but let me talk about the time, cost, and settlement comparison. That is the graph that you see on the right side of the screen. If you can see the time, it is literally a fraction of the time it would have otherwise taken for these disputes if they would have gone into traditional ADR mechanism And of course, even a smaller fraction of the time that it would have taken had these disputes entered the litigation pool. Coming to cost, on an average, it takes about 31% of the claim value to resolve a particular dispute. This has been brought down to under 1%. The comparison on times and costs is literally as you can see on the screen. Coming to settlements, and this is something that we are very proud about at Resolve 360. When it comes to litigation, settlements are simply a fraction. Even when it comes to traditional alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, settlements most often fail. The ratio is under 4%. Today, in these 500 cases itself, we managed to settle over 18% of these disputes, which means they all were totally prevented from even having to go through the entire process of a formal resolution mechanism, and both parties walked out happily from these disputes. Coming to us, Bhavin and I come from the chartered accountancy and law background. Our third co-founder is Aman Sangvi, who comes from the insurance and management background. And we often say that three of us have pursued an MBA in the streets while we built Resolve 360. This, of course, has been our greatest learning and our greatest satisfactory mechanism for us. We are bound by the vision of digital access to justice for all. Here's the advisory board. They help us on various technical, legal, and business side of things and help us navigate through actually paving the way for new age dispute resolution mechanisms. I'll talk of some of the recognition that we've achieved along the way. We have today been enlisted by the Department of Justice, Government of India as an ODR service provider. We are also the only ODR company in India that has been empaneled by a high court in the country. We have been incubated by India's leading law firm, Cyril Amartyan Mangaldas, and also by the CA Institute, by IIT and IIM as well, which are very prestigious organizations in the country. We recently secured a seed funding of about $1 million, and the focus for us is further developing newer technologies and ensuring digital access to justice for all. You'd be happy to note that Resolve 360 is built on the basis of the UN Citral model law. This finds acceptance in over 165 jurisdictions. We invite you all to experience the revolutionized way of resolving disputes via Resolve 360. Partner with us to take Resolve 360 to your jurisdiction and join us to pave the way for digital access to justice for all. And here's a thought that we would like to leave you with. Technology will never replace great leaders, but in the hands of great leaders, it's definitely transformational. Thank you, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have and even hear your thoughts and views.
Thank you so much, Bhavin and Namita, for a very informative presentation. If anyone has any questions about either Conduct or Resolve 360, please pop them in the Q&A bubbles below, and Pallavi or Bhavin and Namita can address them while they are here with us. It was very interesting to learn how Conduct is using precision-based learning, nudge features, and persuasive technology characteristics to assist HR, legal, and boards in ensuring a safe and trust-based workplace environment. And it was also really interesting to learn how Resolve 360's technology integration, user-friendly design, and level of research and automation is giving its platform an edge over other providers in the industry, and how they are constantly innovating to bring the best experience for all users of their platform. If anyone would like to reach out to Pallavi about the Conduct platform or Bhavin and Namita about the Resolve 360 platform after the session, they can all be found on LinkedIn or their respective websites, Ungender and Resolve 360. A huge thank you to everyone who has attended today. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration, and experience exchange. We are all about practical solutions. There will be more webinars coming up in the Legal Techy Tuesday series, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook for announcements. We look forward to welcoming you all back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thank you, Bhavin, Namita, and Pallavi, for very informative sessions today.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.